morning or afternoon or wherever you are in the listening to this right now. Welcome
Exactly.
back to the Reconnected Woman podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, so today we are hearing all about Rachel's journey, and I'm so excited to hear about this because, yeah, I've never heard it before. So,
Right.
mm,
I'm excited, a little nervous, but it'll just flow and we will get to know more about me and hopefully, yeah. All right. So I'm going to start at the start to give you everyone a little bit of info about me and who I am. So I am a how old am I? 36-year-old woman, and I was born in Scotland. I am a very bubbly, bright, and intuitive person. Always been very empathic, and yeah, I delve into the psychic sort of realms and get all sorts of visions and insight into things. I always like to tell people a little bit about astrology because I find that fascinating. That's one of my passions, sun, moon, and rising. So I'm just going to weirdly throw that in for anyone that's interested. Um, my sun is in Libra, my moon is in Pisces, and my rising sign is Sagittarius. So I just am pretty much go, go, go.
ooh, I love that.
um, I am going to share my journey from like the start, I guess. And so being born in Scotland, I lived there till I was 3. I moved to Australia and spent a good um, 11 years or so. And then my parents decided to move us back to Scotland and have a couple of years working holiday. So we got to see a bit of Europe and spend time there, getting to connect with our roots and family that were still overseas. So I've had a life that's sort of been back and forth, very. The theme of my life has sort of been change and new beginnings and having to adapt to that. Being someone that's sort of on the outer, like I guess when you start a new school and that sort of thing. So that's been a
Mm.
current theme of mine. Um, and a couple of years later, I came back to Australia, and I've spent most of my life here since that point. So I would say, I would say that my life got a little bit challenging. At 18, I decided to move out of home and go back overseas to Scotland. It was quite a fun, exciting experience for me because I wanted to just find out who I was without my parents, without them moving me back and forth, having some control over my life. Yeah, it wasn't the best experience or the traveling holiday I'd hoped it would be. I dealt with a sort of traumatic situation in Scotland. I wasn't sure I was going to share this or not, but it keeps coming up, so I feel like I just need to be vulnerable. In Scotland, I had planned on traveling and I was with this partner and we were going to have a great time, but I found at 18 years old I was pregnant. And it was completely unexpected. I was living in a situation that didn't feel safe. I was terrified. I was not prepared. I was not ready. And I made the decision with my partner at the time to terminate the pregnancy. So that was probably the start of my health journey and the start of adulthood, living on my own, just feeling so terrified at what was happening. So when I went through the termination, it was overseas on my own, just with the support of the partner. I actually moved back to Australia and found that I needed to start my own life as an adult because my parents had sort of moved on. I had younger siblings they were focusing on at home. So I remember starting my own journey in a rental, and my first rental was all I could afford. It was this cheap little rental that was freshly painted, so it looked quite nice to me. It was in a bit of a dark, dingy sort of area. I lived in that for about a couple of months, and then all this mold started appearing in
Oh.
the house. So
This is
that
sounding
was
so similar.
yeah. So I was always really unsure about my direction in life. I think due to being moved around a lot as a kid and during important high school years, like I was just constantly having to deal with, new country, new friends, emotionally, I was like, oh my gosh, focusing on just getting through it emotionally, that I never really knuckled down at school and took it seriously. So I ended up falling into admin work, which is what my mum sort of directed me into. I was doing that at the time. So yeah, I was working in admin, living in this house filled with mold. I was like in debt for thousands of dollars for furniture because I had nothing. I left home with nothing, and it was just a bit of a grind. I had to find strength and resilience to just cope with life. I just went out to this rental and got put on contraception for the first time. Obviously, I hadn't been on it, which is why I'd fallen pregnant. The doctors had put me on the pill, and that pill had made me severely ill. It just threw my body into haywire, and I was vomiting in the middle of the night, and I was dealing with the mold situation, and it was just pretty epic. And also just trying to get my life together as a young adult, I was just like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. And I've always been someone that just sort of dealt with it on my own, didn't really seek support. And I think there's a part of me that has that Scottish strength in me. Like, I can do it and I don't have to worry anyone about it. The start of that journey led me down the path of illness, and having to see a GP to help with the reflux and the vomiting and things that were going on, and constant sinus infections, things. I've had hay fever and allergies my whole life, and that GP actually just put me on a medication to try and help with the reflux. So Nexium, I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Yeah.
it was like, here's a pill for your contraception, and here's the Nexium. So that'll just fix everything. And I remember 19 at this time going, okay, that's just band-aiding this problem for me. And I think the mold is contributing, and I think that the pill is just not, I'm not coping with this. So I got put on another pill. I decided not to take the Nexium, and I delved into this path of health and trying to figure it all out myself. And I think who I am, I've been like, I have to rely on myself. I can't trust people. It's been my issue of going, I can't trust people to be there for me, so I need to like figure this out. And I genuinely think that the health system is, to this date, has sort of been like that. Like, they're not going into your in-depth history of what you've gone through. I mean, emotionally, physically, and all of that, you know.
Yep.
So that was where I was at. I went down the rabbit hole of nutrition and really overhauling my diet. And we had like history of celiacs and Crohn's disease in our family, so I decided to cut gluten out of my diet and just minimize sugar, because I realized I had this pattern as a kid of just having sugar as an energy feeder. Like, I'd be like, I need sugar. I wouldn't even drink water. I was like cordial, and yeah, it was just, I thought this is a coping mechanism and I need to drop that. So yeah, I reduced my sugar intake and all of that. But since then, to fast forward to now, it has been, my life has been a long journey of change, ebbs and flows. You know, I went through a divorce and married that partner that I'd conceive with, and we were just two different people by the time we'd hit 27, 28. I was like, you know what, I don't see this going the way that I want it to, and the way his life was going was not where I wanted to take mine. And so I went through a divorce and had another new beginning in my life, and I'm now happily married with a beautiful husband who I feel completely loved, supported by, who just has my back. And I genuinely, weirdly feel like his being with him has helped heal me from all the things I've dealt with throughout my life. And it was just like universe sent him at the right time. It wasn't something I was looking for. It was like he was just someone that was actually in my life, that was just a friend. And I was just like, oh yeah, never ever imagined a life with him. But it was just almost orchestrated and synchronistic. It was just, and that's, I genuinely believe in that happening in life. Like,
Yeah.
the universe stepping in when you need it. And like, weirdly, if anyone's into astrology and everything, when you hit 28 years old, if you're not on the path that you're meant to be, it's like your Saturn return. You will literally be redirected to the path you're meant to be on and have a major life change. And I had that major life change where my whole life changed. But yeah, now I have spent time, putting the right people in my life. I've found Chantel. I found some amazing friends who have been really supportive. I had some amazing friends at the time who are still friends. So I just feel like there's just key people that were put in my life at the right time. And I'm now focused on a fertility journey with my husband, which has been very challenging. It's been a 5-year journey.
Yeah. And what have you been through with that 5-year journey? Like, what did that look like at the very beginning when you started trying for a while and you're like, okay, nothing's happening? Like, what was your steps that you were like, okay, we need, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. So, we just started trying normally for about a year or two. I was just like, yeah, it'll work out. I was hopeful, I guess. And then when we hit the 2-year mark of trying naturally, it was like, okay, no, we have to look at something here. Like, we have a bit of a unique situation in the sense that my husband has a child from a previous marriage. So I have a stepdaughter, which I'm very grateful for. She's beautiful, and but he'd had a vasectomy from his previous relationship. So we went down the path of doing a vasectomy reversal, and that was one of the first steps that we did prior to trying. It was this robotic surgery that was newly released, and we were lucky enough to be able to afford it because it's astronomical now to get that surgery. And then we tried for 2 years because we were told the results were good. That hadn't really helped. So we went down the path of seeing a fertility specialist. And I had a friend of a friend recommend this IVF clinic where it was bulk billed. She'd had a really great experience. She'd had a bad experience from a previous IVF doctor. So this one had helped her conceive her child. So she recommended this for me. Anyway, we went and saw them. They did some testing and were like, you need to have IVF. But the thing, looking back now, there was some like red flags. And if it's bulk billed by Medicare, I think it's just I'm no expert, but I think it's just basic testing and minimal like research into what's the real problem here. We got like a semen analysis. They checked all my levels. AMH and just overall bloods, and they're supposed to test the semen within 2 hours, and they tested it after 2. Like, we didn't have any issues delivering it at the time, or my husband didn't have any issues, but they didn't have accurate results for us to move forward. But they
Mm.
said, giving the numbers that they got, they think it would have been low anyway, so they suggested we go down the IVF path. So I went through IVF, and I've just recently learned that it was 4 cycles we went through. I thought it was just like one cycle was classed as one egg collection and then the
Mm-hmm.
process, but apparently each transfer of an embryo is classed as a cycle. So we went through 4 cycles of failed IVF,
A
and
lot on your body and
yeah,
your mindset and just emotions to go through that. Yeah.
yeah. And I am a very sensitive person who feels into everything. I don't like taking medication unless I absolutely have to. And the drugs genuinely messed me up in the sense that not only are they pumping you with hormones to produce all these eggs for egg collection, but they're blocking your pituitary gland in your brain to stop your automatic response to release the egg for ovulation. And that actually blocks your intuition. So that's how I function. That's how I primarily function. It's just who I am. I use intuition for everything. And I really struggled with this block that I had, as well as my body just being overrun with drugs. I remember the first, after the egg collection, and they do a live transfer, so like a fresh transfer from the egg before freezing, and it's meant to be a higher chance of conceiving. And I had the transfer done, and I remember my mum saying to me, "Oh my goodness, you're so ill looking. Like, I don't feel like this is." I think in her head afterwards, she said to me, "I didn't think you were going to conceive that time because you just didn't look right," and my body was in haywire. But, I never really got checked in with, and they never, you know, saw whether that was a good time to put it in. They just did it. I guess you're
Mm-hmm.
treated like this run of the mill. This is
Yeah.
our process. You're not treated individually with your
Yeah.
own case and your own. So anyway, that we went down the path. I dragged it out over about 18 months because it was a lot. So I was trying to heal my body naturally myself because I'd lost. As I was going through it, I was beginning to doubt and lose trust and faith in the doctors because I'd ended up developing polyps in my lining, like uterus or whatever, from all the drugs. So things I didn't have before, I had now. And I got, I after a couple of failed cycles, they did some scans and said, "Oh, you've got polyps. We need to do a D&C. We need to clear you out." And then that was another operation. We'll remove the polyp, and you should be good to go when you have a D&C. Pretty much people conceive straight away. So I was like, okay, went under, got that done. So I was trying to do, like I say, healing in between, get myself right, healthy. So many people, like, one thing I will say is anyone that's dealing with infertility or fertility struggles, it is so hard emotionally, but there are so many people who don't know what to say. And family, friends, like, everyone means well, but the majority of people just want to avoid it. And they
Mm.
go, "I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to upset them. So I just won't say anything." Or I'll just say the right thing, like, "Maybe you should go on a holiday," or "Maybe you shouldn't stress." And it's like,
Everyone has their opinions
this,
and ideas and advice, right?
yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, like, people have no idea. Because I think when you're invested in having a baby, you're like, I'm literally doing everything every waking minute to help myself. I'm not just half-assing this. Like, I'm, at times even to, like, perfectionist level, like being really hard on myself and just, you know, I had been so hard on myself that it just I had to learn to like forgive myself and know that it's a whole bigger picture. It's not just all on me. Like there's my partner involved. There's like also the soul that wants to come through. Like, and I can't help but think that this whole journey has been a learning curve for a reason, and I hope so anyway. But anyway, jumping back into it, we had the last couple of transfers and I was still not feeling right. I had a lot of pelvic pain. And after the last transfer failed, the fertility specialist got me in and said, I want to get an MRI done because normally you have a 1 in 3 chance of success rate. Like basically with 4 really good embryos, I should have been pregnant according to their stats. So I got an MRI and they diagnosed me with adenomyosis, which is when the tissue grows through the muscle wall of the uterus and can cause pain. And I never had that before. That was, I believe, due to the oversupply of estrogen pumped into my body. So that was mega. And at that point, he said to me, I think that you need to be on an injection to reduce your estrogen levels, and that injection will involve putting you in a menopausal state for potentially up to 6 months. Oh. And I was like, everything in my body was like, hell no. Like, I'm not doing this. This is awful. This is like absolutely awful. And I'm not doing it. It was just screaming to me no. And I said, look, no, I just want to have time to process this. And he's like, oh, we really need a decision. But prior to you doing that, I think that you need to do another lot of egg collection. So we're going to inject you with all the same drugs again that are high in estrogen to then give you this. They wanted to extract as many eggs as possible, 2 to 3 rounds, he said. He wanted me to go down, possibly another 12 months of doing this, and then 6 months of putting me on this injection or this drug that was going to induce a menopausal state to mean that I wasn't producing estrogen, which I was like, does he have any idea what that would do to a woman's like body, hormonally, mentally, like emotionally? Like, it's not that easy. Like, it's a huge thing you're asking someone to go through. So I was just like, no. And then I spent the last, so that was the end of 2023, November 2023, and I've spent the last 18 months trying to heal myself naturally, without medical intervention. And I have just had some amazing results actually this week from another fertility specialist who I'm now seeing, and I've built some trust again in the medical system because I've met some really amazing people. So I'm not completely discrediting the medical side of science and what have you. But the natural health path has actually healed me. And this medical doctor said to me on Wednesday, she did an internal ultrasound and said, you don't have any adenomyosis. I've just looked at your scan and exactly where, because she had a copy of my results from the MRI from a couple of years ago, and she was like, I'm looking in that spot right now and there's nothing. Whatever you've done has worked and healed it. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, it's not been a complete waste of time, because when it's so long and drawn out and there's days where you just want to give up and just break down and go, I'm not getting there, because I'm impatient, I'm frustrated, but you know, it's worked. It's worked. Whatever I've been doing's worked to this point to heal me.
What are some of the natural things that you were doing?
So I started off, I think, just connecting with myself, doing what intuitively was coming forward. I really cleaned up my diet and was doing a lot of exercise. Not too much exercise, like enough to make me feel good. I started seeing a naturopath, and the naturopath did a lot of work with me in regards to in regards to like histamine levels. So I have high histamine levels, and I actually got a lot of inflammation from that whole process of IVF as well. So we cleared all the inflammation in my body as much as possible, and then I've been seeing an acupuncturist to try and balance everything in the body as well. So I've done that for the last 3 months. That's been really, really good. And clearing blockages and things. And I'm recently started seeing a homeopath as well for the fertility protocol. And yeah, we're getting some answers, and it's looking exciting for that side of it. And also, we've just, the universe, I swear, orchestrated this doctor that we are now seeing the specialist. So we're in the process of that now. I don't have too many answers yet, but I feel like I'm in that new beginning, and that I can combine the whole holistic natural health side with the medical side. And I think that the whole journey itself taught me that I need to trust in humans again, and not everyone is, you know, out to get you or make money, because a lot of this industry, no matter whether it's natural health or like the traditional health system, a lot of it is about profit and money. And I think that when it's something so natural, it should be so easy for us women to go through, and you feel like you're getting completely rorted financially. You're like, I had to learn to trust, and that things would show up at the right time, the right people would be put in front of me. And yeah, so I think that I'm grateful for the journey and what I've learned to this point. And we're just going to see where it goes from here.
It's, yeah, like such a roller coaster of emotions, and just even being like, is this even worth it? And like going through the motions of like, did you ever have these moments where you were like, I can't do this anymore, but then the next day you're like, nope, I've got to keep going.
I think that I think that there are definitely days where I've just broken down and gone, I can't do this, and I've been so overwhelmed, I've just had to put it on hold. And there's days where I've just had to sit with my emotions, and or weeks or whatever it took. And there I was lucky enough to find work that was sort of giving me that work-life balance, so I could process everything that I was going through. But I also just, that underlying drive and desire to want a family of your own and want a child, to be able to conceive, go through the pregnancy and birth a child, is just something I really, really want to do, and I don't want to give up on that. And I think one thing is I'm determined. So I'm just not giving up. Nearly 5 years later, I'm just like, no.
I feel like that's something that we both have a lot in common. Just like this determination to, no matter how long it takes, just to
Yeah.
keep going. I'm really
And it's like,
curious. Oh, you go.
you can't break me. No, I am
Hmm.
not gonna let you break me.
It's that stubbornness to be like, mm-mm. You
Yeah.
can't tell me no.
Yeah.
You can't tell me this isn't working. I'm gonna find a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious with that experience of falling pregnant when you're 18 and going through all of that and having the
Mm.
termination.
Yeah.
Do you feel that has anything to do with the fertility journey that you've had in terms of even just like the trauma around that? Like,
I honestly no. It sounds awful. I I definitely, it was very traumatic. I think I decompartmentalized it over the years, but it has come up a lot during this fertility process, in the sense that, I thought, oh, okay, maybe that was my only chance. Maybe I should have, not made that decision. But when I sat with it, I was like, that decision was 100% right for me at that time. I don't judge myself. And the person I was with, overall big picture, I genuinely make the same decision.
Mm.
I would have loved more support around it and been able to deal with it. And I do feel like that soul, and I've been told that soul is going to come back to me. So when I made that decision, I didn't believe that it was like, it was almost like, here, you can have this now and it might be right for you. But you still have free will, right? And I made
Mm.
that choice. And it was funny the other day, I was looking, going, I'm at the higher end of 30s, and a lot of people I know have had their kids. And, I think if I'd had it at that time early on, I was doing it alone, sort of not with my peers. And I also feel like whatever my experience is, I'm going to do it differently to everyone else. Everything in my life has sort of always been that way. And I don't have the standard, like, life experience, journey, relationship even. Everything's always been a bit different. And I do feel like if it happens later, it was always meant to be at a certain time that was going to differ from the norm. I'm never going to be doing things like your average Joe. That's just how my life's been.
I'm so invested in this journey that you're on now, this new journey of fertility, and especially that you have both sides. You're working with a homeopath and you're working with
Yeah.
a fertility specialist as well. And I think both of them are just going to be so powerful. Like, I'm really intrigued to see what the homeopath comes back with, and in clearing like whatever is holding that you're holding on to, that you're also going to clear for your baby. You're not going to be passing on to your
Yeah.
baby all that generational stuff, right? And anything else that could be
Yes.
blocking, like maybe
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows what's going on?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. Yes,
Mm.
it does feel like we're making progress, and I'm feeling very hopeful, and that it's not hopefully not too far around the corner. But I will keep you updated, and yeah. But I feel like this whole thing has, like, getting to know me. This episode, this is such a huge part of me and my journey from literally the start of adulthood to the point I'm at now. So, you know, and I'd love to help some women in this field, because I know a lot of women are experiencing all sorts of things these days. And I guess part of this whole Reconnected Woman podcast is reconnecting all the parts of you and finding your wholeness as a woman. And that's definitely what you and I are actually experiencing.
Mm.
And there's no better way to do that than, becoming a mother, because that's such a huge part of, like, womanhood. And, you need to be in your feminine, you need to be balanced, you need to be in this position to, you know, bring this forward. And I just feel like now we're in this time where there's the children that are incarnating are so picky as to what they want, their criteria for, like, coming, earthside. And we are definitely in the generations where we're doing all of the karmic clearings and all of the physical generational clearings, so that these children can come in light and all the work's done, and they're just here to, bring the best version of themselves. So
Yeah,
it's part
like,
of setting up for the new generation of women, really, isn't it?
absolutely. The children that we are bringing into the world are just going to be next level. And how lucky are we to have that experience with them, and how lucky are they to have us as parents that we have done all of the
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
and cleared a lot of stuff for them so that they can fast track and do what they're really here to do as well.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
so powerful.
It is. So yeah, that's my journey. That's me. And yeah, I'm excited for this. Like, excited for this. I'm not. I do not have any like regrets or like victimhood mentality around my journey, and I just wanted to be vulnerable and authentic and sharing it all for and not even hide the icky bits. There's a lot of people that might have judgment around the termination and things like that, and it's just like, okay, well, that was a decision I made and I'm comfortable with that, with given the circumstances. And there was some really full on circumstances at the time. But yeah, I just think that being part of a whole woman, you need to share everything. You need to,
Absolutely.
it's part of the challenges of being women sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll touch on this in another episode, but like releasing that shame, because shame is the lowest frequency,
Yeah.
and just being able to be like, okay, this has happened, and it's part of the healing process too, right?
Yeah.
To look at the things that have happened in our past. I mean, like, would have potentially held, or I know, just speaking for myself, there's a lot of things that I did that I used to hold a lot of shame around, but I've healed a lot of that because that was my coping mechanism. That was the way that I dealt with what I was going through. And I'm sure you had experiences like that as well.
Yeah.
And just being able to heal that and be like, that was my journey. And that's what I went
Yeah.
through. And that's how I had to deal with it. And that is
Yeah.
perfectly okay. And look at what we've come out on the other side, stronger,
Yeah.
happier, more empowered. And yeah.
100%.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's the type of woman I want to be for my children as well. Like, just the best version of yourself so that you can help them to be the best version. You're not bringing in your issues to affect them. That's something that I actually felt probably from the young age. If I'm being 100% honest, when I was 18, I was like, I have not got my shit together. I do not feel like I would be a good mother at this point. Like, this is not how I wanted it to be. Like, it was just like, I didn't even know who I was. And, yeah, and I think that I genuinely wanted to do all this work and felt like I wanted to not put my issues on someone. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
So powerful. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing.
Oh, thank
I
you.
loved
Thank
it. I
you.
loved hearing your journey. There were so many things that I did not know. So I know you're
Yeah.
a lot deeper now.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening to The Reconnected Woman.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.